Hi, welcome to VYAPT Growth Series Season 3, Episode 25. In our growth series, today we have with us Mr. Rahul Varshney, a leader in renewable energy sector. Rahul has over 3 decades of experience in energy industry, primarily in renewable energy, and was instrumental in scaling up the operations of Statkraft in India by acquiring and developing various hydro, solar, and hybrid projects. Join me to welcome Rahul in VYAPT Growth Series. Namaskar, Rahul.
Namaskar. Thank you, Pankaj, for inviting me in this series, and congratulations for your silver today, this being the 25th episode.
Thank you so much. This 25th episode of season 3. It's really, we are really delighted to have you on our platform, Rahul. And on various occasions I have interacted with you. It's always has been a treat to the kind of knowledge and value add you have given in the entire discussion. So would love to look forward to our conversation today.
Thank you so much, Pankaj. It's been more than 3 decades in the industry, and I think there's been a lot of learning which I can share, and could be on your platform, could be useful for the viewers as well.
Fair enough. So here we go. We have certain curiosities today. The first curiosity is around the growth of the renewable energy segment. You have been, in this particular segment for around 2-3 decades now, and you've worked into, you have done various hats around it and worked, some starting from the initial days into the renewable energy system to a system today which is more full-fledged. So can you talk around the growth strategies that have been more efficient in establishing a strong foothold in the renewable energy sector?
Yeah, I think I would start or begin with giving the perspective, with respect to growth. I think growth requires both demand and a vision, and we have been fortunate that the economy has been growing at a very fast pace. As you know, we are contributing 20% to the incremental growth in the world as a global growth. And renewable energy wise, probably will be add around 40% of the global new build. This has all been made possible primarily because of the government policies and reforms which are been coming through. And there is I would call it an external and internal liberalization for that matter, with respect to, policy consistency and reforms. And as you know, renewable energy sector, a large investment has come from private sector primarily, and private sector and this has been enabled by the government to make it happen. Of course, power had been a concurrent subject where the reforms it's been adjudicated both at the center and the state level, and those were at times inconsistent. But there has been a significant reforms which have been spearheaded mainly by the central government to make this happen. With when you talk about insolvency, for that matter, GST, which was one of the key scenarios. Banks were recapitalized. The Discom health was kind of something very, very concerning, especially when it comes to global investors, where the payment was an issue, or curtailment was really an issue during that times. But a master stroke in terms of bringing in the central government setups like SECI and NTPC kind of, further fueled the growth in this particular sector. And if India at this point in time, at this juncture, is growing with a GDP of 7 to 8%, and being the fifth largest economy, probably the fourth next year, and third by 2027 with the government policies. And there's been a lot of push from the government in terms of putting up targets. So we have now 500 gigawatt of renewable energy target by 2030. So this has been kind of fueling the private sector investment as well as growth in this particular sector, coupled with the demand, and demand has been phenomenal. You see the growing digital infrastructure which we have, the 120 crore telecom subscribers, the fastest 5G network, and the rollout of it. massive fintech sector around this, data centers, urbanization, government pushing in PLI schemes. That's been actually fueling the growth and therefore the demand for renewable energy. And also, there is a lot of awareness towards renewable energy and moving away from the conventional, fossil fuel. So that's also there. And then, as you know, going forward, 90% of what we have, what it is expected by 2047, like 100 years of India and Atmanirbhar Bharat, as we call it, I think it's yet to be built. So there is a phenomenal growth expected in this particular sector. And we have the demography in our favor. We have the largest working age population at this point in time. So, the inertia or of a momentum of inertia, probably the momentum is so large at this point in time that it's going to go forward without any delay. But to answer your question, I think we need to keep pace with the technological advancement which is happening at a faster pace, and be market centric, and leverage or be keep an eye on the government policies going forward, so that you are, in terms of your growth and strategy, you are at pace and at par and maybe leading the pack.
So you talked about, Rahul, around that this is an era of the growth for renewable energy segment. Primarily fueled by two things. One is the policies of the government. The other is the kind of investments we are attracting from the private sector. And you also talked about that another 2-3 decades, like it's the growth is going to be humongous, and we are going to see an energy dependency primarily coming from the renewable segment, and we will be shedding some part of non-renewable dependency as well as we move in the future. But one thing is pretty clear, that renewable energy is a sector which is also helping us to make more sustainability more happen, which I think the leaders across the globe have been talking about. So my second curiosity is around it. How can we drive sustainable business growth? And are there any emerging trends or areas of focus which you foresee driving the growth in this particular sector?
A very good question, Pankaj. I think sustainability is key, and there should be strong focus. But when we do something green, I think it is sustainable, and renewable energy is part of the sustainable story. But however, we have to really look into the nuts and bolts in this renewable energy industry to look at how we can build sustainable growth and build green and sustainable India, as a Viksit Bharat, as we call it. But whatever we do now will drive the future, as I see, and then we really need to up our game on the ESG framework. What is important is that this framework, in terms of environment, social, and governance, has been it's been used in some form or the other, but it's not been kind of focused enough. For instance, our MSME sector, there is very little which there is focus from their perspective, and they really need to kind of up their game in terms of not only broadcasting themselves or kind of indicating their commitment towards it, but more on towards their product and technologies which are sustainable, which are taking care of certain key elements when it comes to, let's say, circular economy primarily. We need to kind of look at recycling, refurbishing, and end of life management kind of activities already when it comes to circular economy aspects. And I also see human rights is kind of extremely important going forward, and we need to look from minimum wages to living wages, primarily for our workforce, and that will be kind of a game changer from the social aspects as well. Health and safety is very key, and we need to kind of give a premium to to that, and environmental aspects. As you know that we are living in one of the most polluted cities in the world. I think those are kind of key elements which through renewable energy and adaptation of renewable energy, I think that should happen going forward. And government is quite focused in terms of providing enabling infrastructure there. For instance, now the ESG reporting is being made mandatory, with BRSR framework being put in place, and there is, of course, this is for listed companies, but it should percolate, and if you talk about suppliers and suppliers of these industries, they would also adopt to that. And also government, if you would have picked up the last budget, government is talking about upskilling, and also willing to put in some subsidies and funds around upskilling. That will also kind of fuel a lot of technological as well as skill advancement, which is required, and with skill comes quality.
So you talked about the sustainability part of the entire business proposition, primarily into renewable sector, and you also talked about how this particular sector is going to grow and going to change over years to come. One thing which is very very important, when we talk around sustainability, is also around the job creation, because when you job creation is one of the aspects which the world is talking today. You go in any country and the leader of the country is talking about the job creation. It could be a direct employment, indirect employment, or whatever. You talked about renewable energy growing in India in the next 3 decades, which itself is at peak in terms of growth. So can you talk around and looking at the diverse market we cater to and the kind of energy needs we have, which is growing year after year? How crucial do you consider the adaptation of localization of the kind of employment or product or services we generate in terms of fueling the employment? And are there any specific technological advancements that's contributing to the renewable energy industry's success?
Yeah, I think I'll take a flip back from your questions previously when you talked about emerging trends, and then also coming to the question about job creation. What I kind of see is that there are a lot of, in the renewable energy space, a lot of emerging trends. As you might have heard, green hydrogen and green ammonia is one of the key trends which are kind of coming up. Energy storage solutions, which are again, the key trends, and decentralized energy generation and consumption is also, and digital transformation. When we and you would see that people talking about AI and digital activity, and that would lead to reducing jobs, and also kind of being counterproductive primarily, and there's been an industry debate around it. But what is important is AI is really really important for a country like India, which kind of reduces or kind of bridges the rich and poor divide. It kind of bridges the haves and have-nots, and those who have the knowledge and those who don't have the knowledge. Probably, those kind of divides are kind of bridged. And talking about localization, especially in renewable energy industry, I mean, there's been a lot of localization. You see the solar sector. The solar sector, probably India is now the second largest solar manufacturing hub in the world, and there has been first it started off with solar panel assembly, then it's gone to the fuel cells, and some of them are now even manufacturing ingots and wafers in India. So the whole industry has become significantly large. and and I see that this has been quite a game changer for India. I mean, imagine a situation in a decade back when solar was bought at 17.5 rupees per kilowatt hour, at that rate, and still government pushing that, and willing to kind of the discoms willing to pay that particular price. And today at just about 2 rupees 25 paise is what the energy cost has been phenomenal. And this all has been based on vision, and this industry has grown significantly, and probably I don't have the numbers, but has created significant number of jobs from manufacturing to an EPC contracting companies. There's been mushrooming. I mean, at least 50 large EPC contracting companies in the solar sector itself, and the development of 15 gigawatt almost every year, new build for the solar sector. Same goes for the wind. The new the wind technology, of course, has been also evolving, but we are not the best of wind sites in India, maybe category 2 and 3. And therefore that technological advancement was not happening. But of late, of course, it's like Adani building 5.2 megawatt single turbine is kind of would be a game changer again, where today we see still 600 and 800 kilowatt turbines as you drive down in various parts of the country. But today a single turbine will be 5.2 megawatt. So those are kind of elements which not only has kind of provided employment, but it has also reduced the cost and also the speed at which projects can be put in place. So and your question on in terms of technological innovation, I mean, that's also dominating the market. We are again, the solar industry has seen higher efficiencies, and when it comes to also the size and other elements, and of course green hydrogen and EV industry or the battery industry is continuously seeing innovations. Green hydrogen in terms of electrolyzer, and also localization and manufacturing of electrolyzers in India, and the battery industry also with a lot of battery manufacturers coming into India. So I think there has been all round growth in this particular sector, and everybody is kind of running to cope up with the fast pace and the emerging trends in this particular sector.
That's so wonderfully answered by you, Rahul. You actually allowed the things to allowed our viewers to understand what is the kind of job creation happening in this particular sector, and how this particular sector is contributing much beyond our understanding. Because we just understand it more from just electricity getting supplied to our houses, but there's more to it, not just this particular part of it. After some business talks, now we will move on to our next round, which we call it as flip round. Interestingly, in this particular round, the guest becomes host and the host becomes guest. This is a very specific kind of a question. One specific question comes from our guest, who now becomes the host, has to be answered in 30 seconds time. And this we are for this question also is a silver jubilee, because we introduced this question in our series 3. So over to you. One question coming to you, Rahul, has to be answered in 30 seconds time.
Amazing, Pankaj. You have flipped the roles, so that's kind of extremely good. I can ask you a very tough question, though, but um, since you have to answer in 30 seconds, I'll keep it short. But I think it's an incredible work which you are doing in terms of these activities of and the VYAPT Growth Series, and it has evolved. It's the third season now, and third season, 25 episodes already. When it comes to leadership, and you have spoken to several leaders of the industry, from your perspective, and you as a leader, what has been your leadership philosophy and how has it evolved over the years?
Rahul, thank you so much for this question. In fact, it has two connotations. One is around, you know, uh, how I found leaders, when, having done 180 plus episodes now in VYAPT Growth Series put together, and speaking with more than 200 leaders on various platforms now. What I found is, a leader's core leadership style is to first of all have that empathy. Okay, because that is what which drives any leader. When it comes to business, one thing which drives leader is curiosity. Okay, so I think empathy and curiosity are, these are the two things which actually, drives a leader, from my understanding of, speaking with over 180 plus global leaders now. When it comes to, me as a person, driving VYAP, what I find is, I believe in two connotation. One is kindness, the other is hopeful. We have to, the world needs more kind people. We are blessed to be a part of the society wherein, we have everything. There is another society which, even for them a meal is a kind of blessing for them. So I think, we need more of kinder people in the world. That's one. And we need to be hopeful of a better world, irrespective of what's happening across the world, good, bad, ugly. Obviously a hope drives the future. I think, and even VYAPT Growth Series, when we started way back in June 2020, hope was the fundamental word which helped us to start VYAPT Growth Series in 2020, midst of the pandemic, where irrespective of what every person was looking at, a hope that someday we will, find a place wherein which is free from corona or otherwise, or, vaccines or anything getting developed. So I think I have answered from both the connotations. Within my team, I love, two things I definitely share within my team is one is learning should never stop. Because since we are into consulting world, and we give advice to various global companies in India, across the globe, obviously the learning has to come first. And the second important part, we also do is, within our teams we focus on a lot of delegation. If somebody can do something better than me, probably I think we should give a chance, irrespective of the kind of designation, somebody has in the organization. So I think, these are the two things which I follow within our organization. And thank you so much for asking this question. I think I have answered this.
Thank you so much, Pankaj. I think hope is actually became a buzzword, especially when it came to COVID times, because that's the only thing everybody had. And now we are back in business. In the business terms, we try to be optimistically realistic, in terms of our assumptions and in terms of our approach. But one good thing which we learned from COVID was work from home and these digital infrastructure and communicating through it much more, as compared to what we used to be prior to. So this is blessing in disguise, I would call it.
Yeah, and in fact, Rahul, I think you also agree to it. And it was way back in 2016-17. We were more talking about digital. We were more talking about, work from home can also happen, and so many things. But somewhere, the companies as well as the people working for the organization were not adaptable to it. And then came Corona, and everybody was fine. Okay, fine, this can happen. And it went on beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is similar to demonetization. I shouldn't say that, but suddenly the UPIs and digital currencies and moving to all of that become opening up bank accounts and everything became need of the hour, and everybody adopted to it. This fintech so fast and so quickly. So I think there is always some learning, and it's always good when you come out of it to see the positive side of it
Yeah,
as well.
and it also helped us to believe that sometimes change can be faster.
Yeah, that's right. That's absolutely true. Yeah.
Okay. So after this round, we move on to our next round, which we call learning on the go. Rahul, you have been an inspirational leader. Okay. And personally, I have seen you on many of the occasions in many of the forums. We have talked about, about business and otherwise. But I would like to understand more from what it goes, when in the making of a leader, how crucial it is, maybe the kind of upbringing which you have got from your family members, parents, brother, sister, and wife, children, otherwise, and obviously working with your colleagues, mentors, and other whomsoever you have connected with, contacted with, and wherever in which all organizations you have contributed. So can you talk about some of the let's say stories, or maybe something you have in mind which has actually shaped your leadership style to what you have become today and has contributed a lot to what you are today?
Yeah, very good question. I think it's a very long story with the 30 plus years in the corporate world, and prior to that, learning and skilling yourself. But I think the DNA is primarily built with your family and the surroundings. Coming from a very humble background, taught me to be humble all the time and to remain that way. But of course, there were certain instances, during my college days, which led to making me, believe that you can achieve certain things if you have the determination and the will to make it happen. But I'll tell you a good story around my project management journey, and it was more like in Andhritz, when I was responsible for tendering and engineering, and my boss at that time, and I'm talking this instant in 90s primarily, when my boss said that tomorrow you have to go and look at a particular site where it's dilapidated, it's in a bad shape, it's 10 years in that particular shape, and we have to kind of refurbish the entire project. It was a 10 megawatt Bhandadara 1 project, and I was like clueless. Just this instruction and leave now, kind of situation. And of course, I left, I went, I visited the site. 10 days later, I was in Frankfurt negotiating this contract with Dodson Lindblom Corporation, Mr. Rajadhyaksh, and then we won that particular contract. And as I came back, my CEO, I remember it was Mr. Peter Bogensberger, and he said, "Who is going to execute this?" Uh, and it was a new organization, just 1 year old, probably even lesser than that. And I was like, standing in front of him, and he said, "Why don't you do it?" And it was like, okay. So it was taking a challenge on. It was a contract with a 456 days commissioning schedule with 3 million Dutch mark per day penalty of 3 million Dutch mark. At that point in time was significant, and the project was very demanding as well. But of course, there was a very high level of trust which was coming from the management, and absolute freedom. And I had an excellent team, working alongside me in this project management journey. And you know, in 457th day, we commissioned the project in full. It was then a 16 megawatt hydro project in Igatpuri, Bhandadara 1, basically. And this was very transformative for me. As I reflect back, it kind of developed a can-do attitude from within me. It also kind of gave a that if you want to achieve, if you have a team, and if you have good level of trust and understanding within with the team, and if the management has that similar trust and understanding in you, probably you can achieve. We faltered. We also had to kind of do firefighting at the last minute, in the sense, calling certain things in the very last day, and things like that. But also, a thorough understanding of that you need to understand the risks first, and then also kind of work on the mitigations away from the early days. But it was a good experience, and extremely good learning at that point in time, which was very initial stage of my career, which kind of led me to actually scale and do things in a much bigger forum and bigger ways, and there has been a continuous learning from there as well, more polishing your skills. But I think it's also important that uh, you know the cost, time, risks are so very important in any projects or in any activities, and of course trust, which is the the whole fulcrum around it. So that's been kind of my story of the first success, and I've tasted success in the early days. So then there was very high motivation from there on to actually scale heights there and taking
Thank you for
forward.
thank you for sharing this, Rahul. I mean, it's indeed an inspirational story, and many a times, in our early days, we don't understand that something what we are taking up as a challenge is actually going to shape not only our careers but us as a person as well, and give us that kind of a confidence that yes, I can contribute more.
Absolutely, I think that sums it up, because then you are willing to and ready to take even bigger challenges, and you know uh, fulfill that with your experiences, and every such experience is a big learning for that matter.
Very true, Rahul. Thank you so much, Rahul, for sharing your experience with us, and also sharing some of the beautiful answers we have for our curiosities. I wish you contribute more to the renewable energy sector because the world's need it, and you also shape more leaders like you, because as we move ahead, the world need more leaders like you. So I wish you all the best for your journey ahead, and wish you more successful days ahead with your contribution in the renewable energy sector. Although we understand that we are speaking with a legend, but at the same point of time we know there is a lot of contribution which is still to come from you, because you have so much. Thank you so much for being a part of VYAPT Growth Series. We loved interacting with you, and I personally enjoyed the conversation with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pankaj. Thank you for giving this opportunity, and it's been a pleasure.